Qwen 3 VL32B just finished on one H100 and Databricks serverless. And that serverless policy has zero internet access. More about that later, but this job report you can see shows it was successful on that one H100, which in fact is an NVIDIA H100 with 80 gigs of memory. And you can see here are the questions we ask, here are the two actual answers. And then this is a CPU task on that job that is just for formatting the results as we're looking at right now. Hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Chichak with Databricks. And today I'm talking about AI runtime, bringing any compatible Docker image. In this case, we're testing with vLLM 0.25, and we're using the Qwen 3 VL model. But you can bring any model you want. And you can see we're running on the GPU of one GPU, but you can request more. And we're very flexible for that Docker image. And then the secret sauce is being able to actually upload this model into UC for having a governed model. And if you don't want to use a custom image, as you see here, I'm showing you the YAML within Cursor. You can use the environment version that's built in to AI Runtime. In fact, the environment version 5, soon to be released environment version 6, has the latest and greatest dependencies like vLLM. And now what we're going to do is we already have the model staged, and I'll talk more about that architecture later inside of Unity Catalog. But we're just going to reuse the repo that we already built, and we're going to set the private configurations to set both the model volume and the results that we're going to see. And we're going to set those paths just by running one command inside of Cursor. And you can see those configurations were automatically set by running that command. Now what we're going to do is, before running any H100 and spending that H100 money, we're going to do a dry run to actually extract the job and make sure that everything's validated with the AI runtime workload before we start paying for that H100. And again, this is no submission to the H100. This is just verification that everything is working. We're going to let that run. As you can see, the dry run passed. The H100 is going to run, and then the result task with the CPU will output that HTML page. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually submit the job again inside of Cursor. And this is going to create one parent job. And that first task is going to run the Qwen 3 VL model on that H100. And then once that inferencing is done, the next task is going to actually render the results into a readable HTML page, where we're not having to go through all of the JSONs and figure out what everything looks like. It's a beautiful page for us. And let's run that task right now. Excellent. The job is successfully ran, and it's running right now. Let's actually go into the runs, and we can see it was submitted a few seconds ago. And this is the first task that's running on that H100. Again, you can specify as many GPUs on the H100 as you want. And you can see the second task is waiting for the H100 to complete to render that HTML page. Now I want to talk about the architecture of how this actually works. I'll go into the GitHub page where all this entire project is committed. And really how this works is, the first thing is, if we look at the Docker image that we chose, which is vLLM version 0.25, this is getting uploaded to the platform. Again, you can do this on your laptop, or you can do this if you have Classic Compute. You can have Classic Compute download that Docker image for you and then put it into a reusable location on the platform. And then the same thing for the model. The model, I actually have notebooks that you can use to download whatever model you want from Hugging Face locally, and then upload that model. And when I say local, I mean your laptop, and then uploads that to Unity Catalog to govern that model. Or if you don't want to download a large model to your laptop, you can actually use the Classic Compute if you don't have those strict network egress policies to the public internet, on Classic, you can absolutely use Classic to download those large models from Hugging Face and again, pin them into Unity Catalog for that governance that you're going to get and the insights. And then basically you do that one time. And then once you have that model inside of Unity Catalog, and then you have the Docker image in for reusability, you can submit as many jobs as you want without any internet. And that is the beauty of this, is that you're going to get, in this case, the H100 flexibility with inside of the Databricks platform. And then you have the Qwen model that we're using or whatever model you want. And then you're getting those results without any installs or public downloads. Again, because Unity Catalog is holding on to that pin for you. All right, and our job is completed end to end. If we go into the results from that CPU task, you can see we succeeded and we pulled the exact model of NVIDIA H100 with 80 gigs of memory. And we completed the GPU run in 5 minutes and 23 seconds. And again, this output is for rendering these results where I don't have to page through a JSON tree to figure out what the results are. I get them very quickly. Now, my favorite part, getting into the actual strict network egress policy. And there'll be large companies like banks that have strict regulations where you can't have Databricks serverless access the public internet for whatever reason. And this proves that in my workspace. You can see this is my workspace, and these are the egress rules that are being enforced right now. And I have 0 public internet access. And this is the beauty of this. With this solution, again, you're relying on Unity Catalog to hold your models. Again, any model you want. And let's actually dig into those results from our very last job. You can see, again, this job actually has a durability test to check the public internet where it actually tries, the GPU serverless tries to access the public internet. And again, it got blocked as we expected. And then here are the 2 questions we asked. The first question was talking about Unity Catalog, asking some questions for Unity Catalog, and these are the answers from that Qwen 3 vL32B model. And then asking a question about Lakebase. And this, again, is all generated with the H100 and outputted with CPU. And then once it's complete, everything is outputted with this single CPU task that outputs this easy to read HTML page. And also the results are written into the Lakehouse where you can look up various results with timestamps. And that's all I have for today. What is your, what should I create a video on next? Should I do multiple GPUs, use a larger model, pulling from Hugging Face? Really, the options are endless. Make your comments below. Thanks, everybody.